Hello, I hope you're doing well. Welcome back, of course, to CSGO News, and there's been some breaking news today. I'm sure many of you guys have heard about that, and biggest news for CSGO today, it's been Skadoodle's official retirement. Now, why I'm going to say retirement for now is because, historically speaking, when it comes to these Cloud9 people, it does seem to be retirement. He, of course, follows in the footsteps of Shroud and Nothing, and this does officially mean, I don't know, this makes me just sad thinking about it. He is the last 2015 Cloud9 member to be in existence, and he is now stepping away, apparently, from CSGO. Now, why I said retirement in the title, of course, because typically speaking, with Nothing and Shroud, they leave and they've taken that prolonged step away. I think we can all pretty much agree that Shroud will not be coming back to CSGO, given the fact that he actually gets single tournament viewerships. You know, if you look at premier tournaments like Star Series Season 6, Shroud had almost as much viewership as them, which is by himself, which is of course insane. He's doing very well on his own. Nothing seems to be dealing with his personal life. Of course, we have the old guys crew. They come back and they play ESCA matches, and Skadoodle might join them, but having this be timed as well as the Black Ops release, and of course Skadoodle, if you guys have been following him the past few weeks, has also been streaming a lot more frequently. So this is definitely foreshadowing, maybe foreseeable as well for some of you guys out there. Skadoodle is actually stepping away from competitive CSGO, which might ultimately mean retirement. So that's why I said in the title as well. I don't know what you guys think about this, but of course that does mean a lot of things for the future of Cloud9, and apparently they have no fifth member even locked down yet. In their post, as well as thanks to Jonathan Tran, that's their manager over there for Cloud9, posting this on Twitter, they are still looking for a fifth, so they have no one in place as of right now, and for the time being it will be Skadoodle to actually stand in for that team until they find a solidified fifth, and who that will be is the ultimate mystery. I have so many things going through my head, and I'm really curious what you guys think about this. Will they stay North American? Because when it comes to a North American team, you think about Optic Gaming, they went from North America to Europe, but they're not Cloud9. Cloud9, historically speaking, has always been an American organization, and I think definitely going forward, they're going to try and stick to that. You look at their other teams as well. For me, I first think of the Rocket League team, their League of Legends team. They are always going to be a North American organization, in my opinion, and I think they'll try and stick it out here as well with that same roster. So we're going to hopefully look for a North American opera to fill this spot, but then it becomes a question, who can actually fill Skadoodle's role? Because you look across the map and it seems to be most replacements will be European. You look especially, we'll talk about Gambit later on, you have to look at like AdreN now leaving Gambit on the transfer list. He would be a fit for that. You look at Draken from formerly, of course, Fnatic. He looks like a good replacement as well. Now I say good replacement because of the recent results of Skadoodle and especially his playstyle. Given recent results, I know he's probably one of the best North American operas, and historically speaking, comparing North American and Europe, you give the edge to European players over there, but that would mean, of course, a majority European Cloud9 roster, a majority mixed roster. I'm not sure how those stipulations would work if they want to go that way, but there's just so many questions, so many options in the air for Cloud9. It does mean as well, guaranteed, Rush, Automatic, and Golden will retain their spots in Cloud9. They need to actually retain that next major spot for Katowice 2019, so probably a breath of relief for a lot of those guys, although they probably know the plans a lot more than we do. Those three players, Rush, Automatic, and Golden, will have a spot at the next major for Cloud9, and the real goal here now is to, of course, fill a fifth member that can actually replace Skadoodle's skill. I honestly think, giving my honest opinion, this is a step in the right direction for Cloud9. If a player does not want to be there, it's only going to hurt the team. We saw the same thing with Nothing, same thing with Shroud. They really enjoyed themselves on their own, and I think it really brought the team down, and they only got better when those two were replaced. No matter how much we love them, we cannot deny the fact they did get better. So that was in obviously huge Cloud9 news. Who will be the fifth member? Leave a comment down below who you guys think. And this next topic is one I have wanted to talk about for so long and share my opinions about, but I really want to preface by saying I like all of these teams. I really do, but I want you guys to share your opinions as well, but that has come down to G2. We have talked about them for so long now, the struggle they've actually had ever since the major, ever since even before the major, this new French super team coming together, and the struggles have continued. As of today, another struggle to mount. Again, we've seen their struggles against teams like Virtus Pro even recently, and today it was actually LDLC sweeping them in ESL Pro League matches, and it's been incredible to see, especially that matchup, of course, of two French teams. You most notably compare this G2 roster to the French super team, the best French team out there before Vitality was signed, even though Vitality had their first matches today, and I wouldn't say struggle, they got to a very strong start against Optic and then blew that best of 3 series. They're definitely competing though for that best spot, and so to be swept by LDLC, you know, most notably probably the third best French team always, you know, they're never the #1 team out there. It really kind of struck this note in people's minds. If you look at all the tweets out there now by Nell and Don, they've now confirmed this roster to be the worst G2 roster ever since the establishment signed to CSGO roster in terms of win-loss ratios. You look at Nell as well, sharing the facts out there. 19 and 36 in those maps they've played so far. That includes on LAN as well as online. Overall, a losing record in these past about 55, 56 maps for this Existence and Smiths combo, which is it's shocking to see how bad these guys have been, and especially when you think about this. They knew going into this organization, that being G2, they knew these guys had a pretty significant losing record so far, and they actually signed the main core of this roster, that being everyone besides Kenny S, until 2020. Who knows why they did this, and I think it really kind of comes down to two options. It's either sheer stupidity or sheer confidence in the future of this team. And if you're Kenny S, you're definitely seeing all this public backlash, right? You're seeing all these tweets today alone have been overwhelming. I can't imagine for the team themselves, but will he actually stay with this roster? And then it really remains the fact, if he doesn't stay with this roster, and they're already 19 and 36 with an amazing opper like Kenny S, the best the French team will ever see, imagine where this team goes in 2020 if they lose Kenny S, early in 2019 after his alleged contract does go up. And that baffles my mind how bad these guys could get if he does leave. And I'll leave you guys with a couple more facts out there as well. If you take away an ESL Pro League series against Heroic, they swept Heroic a couple days ago in ESL Pro League. They also beat FaZe Clan at ESL New York, where we saw maybe a resurgence that they then fell off there shortly afterwards. You take away those two series there, it is this current G2 roster with Smiths in existence who has not won a series of 2 maps or more since July against Virtus Pro. So put that in your mind. That is the lack of success these guys, lack of chemistry these guys have seen after supposedly being the next best French team. And also, very lastly, it was actually Shock's interview a couple days ago as well. Translated, it is not Scream they're looking to add to the roster, or at least he is not on the agenda. So I really beg the question for you guys to comment down below, what can these guys do? I really did believe in them, and you guys, many of you know as well, I'm a huge fan of the new Vitality roster. They fell short against Optic Gaming, but when it comes to being the best French team, what does that really mean anymore? It doesn't take many accomplishments now in the current day, 2018, to be the best French team. And will G2 continue to compete for that spot? I hope so, but I don't know. And also, very lastly in CSGO news, and I do apologize for going so extensively into those last 2 stories. They are pretty big topics, in my opinion, to be talking about, and I cannot wait to see what teams make changes. We're going to have changes for many of these teams coming up very shortly. If you guys remember, the open qualifiers do start here. The minors qualifiers do start here for Katowice 2019, and that means teams are going to try and solidify these rosters as soon as possible. We could have Navi changes, FaZe changes, G2 possibly, but probably not going to change, which is still shocking to me. But, with those contract until February, I believe, for Kenny S, they're probably not going to see changes, but teams like Gambit will also change. A CIS shuffle is probably coming. This last story all about them. It does seem, as confirmed, guys, by Gambit themselves, along with AdreN, after a shortcoming with Star Series Season 6, we knew going into that event it was going to be 2 players. Hobbit was guaranteed on the transfer list. We also had Mo before the major pretty much solidified that he'd be leaving that roster sometime soon. As of right now, it is now guaranteed Hobbit and now AdreN. AdreN was not messing around. He took to Twitter, of course, after that Star Series performance. He said, I am done, and 3 days later, he is now on the transfer list. They're taking negotiations, and I guarantee you guys, he will be heavily sought after, being that Opping role, and especially showing his presence there, the ability to maybe IGL for a future team as well, and definitely being by far and away Gambit's best player over the last year or so. So AdreN is now on the transfer list alongside Hobbit. Mo is apparently going to be leaving that roster as well. Gambit is in shambles, guys. You look at this roster, they have no next major spot, and where they go next, this could be the downfall of Gambit. And we've seen over the past few days, Space Holders being released, now Gambit. We now have, of course, Skadoodle retiring. All those sticker prices have shot up because of that. I'm not going to be investing into that, but just a little relay of news for all of you guys who are investing. You might be too late to the party to be investing into Gambit stickers, but expect them to rise because this organization may never make a major again if these players do leave. That's going to do it for today's episode. Of course, esports news here covering CSGO news today, and hopefully some more esports news tomorrow. As always, my name is Jake Moraliq. Feel free to leave a comment down below what you guys thought of today's episode. Some crazy things happening, and definitely more crazy things happening soon as well. And at the end of the day, guys, at least you're not NRG. One last thing for CSGO news today. In the next 7 days, NRG has 30 matches. I'll see you guys tomorrow.